the first band that I was in, we took it pretty seriously, but after a year or so, it just kind of fizzled out, as it does. And I did think it had come off the table, so I feel very blessed to have been given the opportunity to actually do it properly.
So how did that opportunity come about, if you don't mind talking about it? So I guess what I'm trying to get at here is, for me, I feel like I've missed an opportunity. Like I probably had a bunch of opportunities to kind of get into bands that now that I look at them go, every other person in that, it was actually fully committed. But at the time I'd been not burnt, is just too strong a word, but discouraged, I guess, by those kind of failed attempts that I went, you know what, I think I'm beyond that now. It's time to move on to something else. But that's probably one of my regrets, is I still look back and go, man, should have had a crack at that.
Yeah.
The opportunity that you've got. So you quite easily could have just gone, you know what, I've had enough now. I'm doing my own thing in the construction world, which is fantastic. I'll just keep playing in my spare time. That's about it. Talk about, was it just kind of something that came out of the blue where they're like, Ryan, we want you? Or did you have to kind of work your way into that space?
Yeah. So the first band that I was in, we, sort of did that thing where we went through a few members, and we sort of had those teething issues where it was like trying to find people who were, as committed as we were or as we wanted them to be. And we went through a couple drummers. And the last one we got on board was a guy who kind of approached us out of the blue. He was involved with a festival that we'd played at, and he wanted to manage us. He just was doing his degree at that stage in music management. He was like, I'll be your agent or whatever, whatever I can do to help out. And we were like, well, okay, this thing's barely off the ground. And as big as our dreams were as 18-year-olds about how we were going to change the world, we were like, we don't need a manager. Like, we are not at that level. Like, everything's word of mouth. It's just all friends, that are getting us, opportunities to play. So I remember the guitarist came to me with this guy. He's like, this guy, Matt, wants to manage us. And I was like, I don't see any value there. He was like, but he is a drummer. And I was like, say what? He's a drummer. So it was perfect, because it was like, well, that's what we need.
Yeah.
We're not even a band at the moment because we don't have one.
Yeah.
So we got this guy, Matt, on board, and it was great. And that was the point, so early in the piece with the first band, where it was like everyone was on the same page. We all had the same vision, And as that drew to an end, that first band, he got an opportunity to join Young Lions. They had written their first album, and I think they just realized that their drummer just could not play live the stuff that he played in the studio. Like, he'd had a little bit of help in there. Yeah, he'd had some help, and
must be a tough space to be in as a musician, though, when that happens.
Yeah. And there were some big changes that happened there, where the guys they basically wrote an album before they did any shows, and by the time they actually had sort of finished that album up, they'd already had massive changes with the members. Like the singer, they kicked the singer out.
Right.
Yeah.
It's hard to tour an album with a different singer.
Well, yeah. See, they kicked him out. They recorded all the vocals, I believe, and then they kicked him out before they released it, because they're like, these vocals are no good. Oh, no. Got a new singer in. So anyway, so Matt got an opportunity to play with that band, and he was with them for a couple of years, and they were doing their thing, and it was, more professional than anything I'd ever been involved with. And then we ended up being housemates, Matt and I. And so I was aware, that they'd let one of their guitarists go, and that, that they were looking sort of at making some potential changes there. And I think at that time, their bassist had even been thinking about quitting. And I'd been seriously thinking, I'll buy myself a bass guitar and learn just to do it, just to recommend myself for this. Yeah.
Should have called me, mate.
Mate, I could have.
Yeah.
We could maybe do something now.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
First band with two bassists.
Yeah. If you're listening, guys.
So yeah, there was a time where it actually was just a really logical choice, I think, for them, because they were looking for somebody to fill in. And my mentality sort of in between all these bands had been, I really care about this. I really want to play music. So I will just say yes to every opportunity to play music that I get.
Yeah.
And I made that commitment to myself. So playing a lot of church services and a lot of stuff in between just to play.
Yeah. I think
and just to get better.
That's a super important point. We don't touch on it too long, but saying yes, going, okay, this is what I want to do. Now I need to say yes to all the opportunities. They may not look like, you can't just wait for that opportunity where they're gonna saying yes to the ones where they go, come on, Warp Tour with me or something. You need to say yes to every opportunity that you think is going to get you towards that goal or dream.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah, definitely. And it was the point where they asked me to play the first show where I was like, okay, this music's very different to what I've been playing, and I had to learn a whole bunch of stuff and sort of change my approach because it's a different style of music. But it was easy. It was much easier than it would have been if I hadn't sort of taken those steps the whole way through. So it was like, do you want to play the show with us? Well, yeah, cool. I've got an amp, I've got a guitar, I've got pedals, I'm ready to roll in terms of that. You're prepping yourself on all of like the stuff that's not so sexy.
Yeah.
So that when the opportunity comes along, all of that stuff's out of,
you can say yes.
out of sight, out of mind. You don't need to be fumbling over the basics because you've done that in the background when it hasn't mattered as much. And it's been a good thing. And it just went from there really. We did sort of did a bit of filling in for some shows to begin with. And then there was a point where I think everyone just agreed, hey, this is working, so let's keep doing it. And I've loved it. And it's been one of the hard things about all the restrictions recently has been obviously not playing as much. So, we had a chance to play a show a few months back and it was great. It felt like coming home, just getting on stage and just, kind of being there with your brothers playing music again. It's like, this is what we've missed.
Yeah, that's good. That's so cool. So would you say that that's your, I don't know if you have big long-term goals or dreams or something, but would you say that would be your ultimate dream, is to be doing that full-time in a touring band full-time?
That would be amazing. Yeah, no doubt that would be amazing. I think it's the same for a lot of musicians where nobody would want to do that for forever, because it's a trade-off. Like if you're traveling, then you're away from the people you care about, and life at home kind of gets put on hold for that stuff. So I think I would never say it's like my dream to do that for forever.
Yeah.
Put me on a stage every single night for the rest of forever. Like, no, thank you. No, thanks. But again, it's just about the opportunity to break from that norm where it's like you're doing your work and you've got your day-to-day, which is good and it gives you that stability. But then to have the opportunity, to jump on a plane and go to a different city and play a show.
Yeah.
And even do that as like a weekend thing, and come back on the Monday and be back in Brisbane. It is exhausting, but there's something so exciting about that because it's just a break from the routine of it all.
You see it as a bit of an escape.
Definitely.
For yourself, yeah. Definitely,
and you're out doing something creative, which is a good escape from like the construction stuff because it doesn't lend itself to creativity as much. It's far away from a creative industry, so it's a good balance of the two.
Great. Yeah. Awesome. Man, this has been so good.